Hey, everyone. Welcome. It's Isaiah. And this is another episode of my podcast, Isaiah's Inspiring Evenings. Today, we are with a guest again, with an amazing guest. And it's been amazing talking to Leslie Ellis twice already. And this is the third time. So, this is part of the series called Things Women Don't Talk About. And it's about things women don't talk about, whether it's made of it's something difficult or serious or too deep or taboo, or whether it's mundane, too light or too fun. No subject is off the table on these episodes, and we are recording this session live and then sharing it in my podcast. With Leslie, we have been doing a series. So, this is episode 3 of a series called Reflections on Happiness. Big topic, right? That's why it needed 3 episodes, and it might need some more in the future. So, Leslie Ellis, in case you are listening to this episode it's your first episode with Leslie, or if you've never met her, let me introduce her. But first, let me say hi, Leslie.
Hello.
So Leslie Ellis is the creator of HeartSong Yoga and Coaching. She's a soul embodiment coach. She's a certified yoga therapist, soul embodiment coach, as I said, and the founder, as I said previously, of the HeartSong Yoga Sanctuary. She has been teaching yoga, meditation, and personal development for over 25 years. Leslie's deepest desire for all of us is that we connect fully to the heart of who we are and the beautiful gift that is to the world. She helps you and me to deeply embody your authentic self through movement, meditation, and sacred self care practices. She's also a certified soul based coach and can guide you to your soul wisdom for support with any questions or challenges you have and to clear blocks to living the life you want. So, this series, which has been amazing, I must say, is about happiness. And the first question that we were asking in episode 1 is why people are not happy. It seemed like a vast question, but we are digging deep, and every episode makes it clearer what are some tips on why we are not happy sometimes and how to get happier, basically. So today, you mentioned, because we have conversations outside before the recording, ladies and gentlemen, please. Of course, we do. We kind of plan and prepare, not very, very rigidly, but we do. And you mentioned something around the lack of self acceptance. So, what do you mean? How is this connected to that? Can you elaborate, please?
Yes, I can. Yeah. So we've talked about, why people aren't happy, kind of what our expectations about being happy are. Last time we tried to philosophize just a little bit, like even from the Eastern traditions, some understanding that we have about the causes of suffering, and those all certainly
Mm-hmm.
impact our happiness. But I was thinking about it, and it feels to me in a lot of ways like it comes down ultimately to this lack of self-acceptance, a sense of not being enough, maybe not even being worthy of
Mm-hmm.
happiness. And there are so many things that we base our sense of self-worth on, and so many of those things are from the outside of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so we live trying to like perfect and please other people, perfect ourselves to please other people. And it can feel like kind of a hamster wheel of doing and never really fully accomplishing
Yeah.
what it is that we think other people want of us. And that's a really hard state or a hard situation to be
Yeah.
happy within.
Yeah, I agree. I believe also that there is something when you say other people, those people can be dead. Those people can be non existing, as in, I'm trying to satisfy a religion, kind of the theory of what is a good person in my faith. And so it's not, only mom and dad, although we know that, satisfying mom and dad, but it can be bigger than that. And as long or for as long as we work on trying to satisfy a theory um, of what am I supposed to do, who am I supposed to be, um, then there is this disconnection with who I really am.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's cultural expectations, it's religious expectations, it's family, whether it's the parents and the generations before or the generations following. I mean, I think that we can be get really caught up in what our legacy is supposed to be, who it is that we're supposed to be, what we are supposed to have accomplished so far based on, you know, what somebody else said. And again, that can be somebody close in or somebody far away. But um, as long as we are pushing and striving to do something other than what we're doing,
Hmm.
it's going to be very challenging to be happy.
Yeah, to be somewhere else than where we are, right? That
Exactly.
complicates the situation.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
also bases my happiness on something that is circumstantial. Because some days I will do fulfill whatever expectation the world is throwing at me. You know, today my dishwasher broke, and so I had to do the wash the dishes with my little bare hands, which I hate, to be honest. But you know, I did it, and I felt this sense of, ooh, what a good, you know, housewoman, house person I am to have done that, and instead of having a pile of dirty dishes on my sink. And today, so I can feel good with this expectation of what is a good housewife. Now, tomorrow, maybe I'll feel lazy because my dishwasher will still be broken. Maybe I'll feel lazy and I'll decide to play board games with my son, who recently came back from uni. And that means I will feel bad, so unhappy. So, this is circumstantial because we can't
Yeah.
all the time fulfill other people's expectations. And so as long as my happiness is circumstantial, I'll be happy if, I'll be happy when. There's no way I can be happy. Full stop. Just happy.
Yeah. Right. Right. As long as your expectations of yourself or my expectations of myself are based on those external
Hmm.
expectations, it's going to be very hard to be happy with any kind of consistency. Right.
Yeah,
And that feeling of happiness is going to flex and flow. Right.
of
It's going to
course.
wax and wane. It's going to be like waves. But I think that's even an expectation. Like, I'll be less happy if I expect that to be happy, I have to always be happy.
Yeah, the perfection thing, you know, perfect
Exactly.
happiness, the perfect whatever picket fence dream of whatever your life is supposed to be. And this perfection thing is literally, for me at least, killing happiness at every
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I can't be perfect all the time. So sometimes I
No.
won't be perfect. And if that
Yeah.
makes me unhappy immediately, then it's unsustainable.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like to open up the space for myself to be perfectly imperfect.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Accepting of how it is. I There's so many thoughts that I've had, but I'm just going to bring this one in because it's kind of in my mind right now because we're recording this around the time of the Olympics.
Hmm.
And I just was so struck. I live in the U.S., so one of our gymnasts, Simone Biles, is an amazing gymnast, and I started reading articles the other day about how she had failed to get another gold medal. She had failed. It's like, holy shit, are you kidding me? She failed?
This woman comes back
No.
from, I mean, it's the biggest comeback in the history of gymnastics, right? I mean, she gave up the last
It's amazing.
Olympics, she left completely destroyed. There's actually been a documentary made on her coming back,
Yeah,
which is called Simone Biles Rising. So she is literally coming back from the dead. She
yeah,
gets 25 gold medals, and because she fails one, she's now a failure. I mean, it's laughable.
right. Well, and she didn't, I just think like, And she could have taken it as a failure too,
Yeah.
but I love her. I mean, she left the Tokyo Olympics in order to take care of her mental
Mm.
health, and she clearly has been just a great model for us about
Mm-hmm.
that, about really finding a sense of self-worth and self-acceptance for who she is at the
Mm-hmm.
root, and then
Mm-hmm.
to come back and perform um and be like you could see her. She was happy, right,
Yeah,
with
she's
that silver medal.
blooming, literally.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know,
And did you
you
see
know.
how both her and the other gymnast, the other US gymnast, they bowed to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Brazilian
Jordan
girl who got the
Childs.
gold medal? It's like, yeah, I mean, this Brazilian girl was amazing. So, and I think
Yeah,
that, it's, and again, if you make it circumstantial, do you think at this minute Simone Biles goes home defeated? I don't think so. I don't think she
no,
did in Tokyo back 4 years ago, and I don't
no.
think she does now.
Right, right. But it's that whole thing of like that the outer world is always going to be judging too,
Yeah.
right? Like the headlines are she failed. But and you may feel like, we may each feel like, whether it's in the newspaper or not, like in the back of our minds, there are those headlines highlighting our failures,
Yeah.
right? But there's got to be a place where we can step back and say, like, no, look at what I have accomplished.
Yeah.
Look at who I
I think
am.
I don't remember if it was with you that I was discussing that there is a part of our brain that is wired to remember the failures and the unaccomplishments more. So basically, we are wired to remember the shit and to, because of the lesson that we should learn and the fear that the tiger will eat us, because in those times. But this is something, I believe that this is the one thing that we have to fight in order to feel the happiness feeling. It's like,
Yeah,
count the blessings, so the gratitude thing, and count the accomplishments, so the
yeah,
worthiness thing. And
exactly.
it's
And
like,
while we
there's,
did, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just going to say there are so many. I mean, for Simone Biles, it's obvious, but even for the rest of us, mere morsels, there is no way that you, whoever you are listening, do not have a huge arm length long list of accomplishments. I know that
Exactly.
everybody has.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And it's like, it's when we there is that part of our brain. Yes, there's that part of our brain, our nervous system, that both screens things out because there's only so much that we can attend to at any time, and also helps us see the dangers and helps us
Mhm.
see where things have gone wrong so that we can fix it and survive. But there's also a huge part of our brain that we can cultivate, that
Mhm.
more positive thinking, and shift our attention to something that's going to serve us better.
Yeah.
So, absolutely good if we know the challenges that we've had, and we can make some plans to go about doing things in a new way so that they don't continue to disrupt our progress, right? And I'm doing
Mhm.
air quotes progress, but also really to build that part of ourselves that can feel gratitude, that
Mhm.
can acknowledge like that arm length list of positive attributes and accomplishments that we've made. And also that can sit in a sense of satisfaction with ourselves as we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Um,
we both know that there is so much in the outside world that is betting against that for each of
mhm.
us, mostly as women. I mean, we're going to have to talk about the body shaming thing at some point,
Yeah.
because this is the one
Yeah.
place where women, or at least I feel like that women have been, um, yeah, they don't have a fighting chance. We don't have a fighting chance if we don't come out of the system and realize that there is no perfection in body, that there is no. So if I'm aiming for that, and it's an endless suffering that
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't get out of this.
Yeah. And it's, what I've seen is that there are so many more of us, more women. We talk about body positivity and we say that it's important and we accept, all bodies, all sizes, all of that. But so many people do that for everyone else except themselves.
Yeah,
So like,
exactly. I was going to say.
I talk a good game. Like I do not care what size you are. I
Mhm.
can love you no matter what size you are. But
But I have to lose 20 pounds.
right. That same thing isn't focused back to the self. I was thinking about this earlier too, where I went through perimenopause and menopause a good while ago, but I remember very clearly in those perimenopausal years gaining weight, and I had never been a super thin person anyway. I've been teaching yoga a long time. And, even at 30 years old, when I weighed 130 pounds, I wasn't super thin, but students would say to me, like, oh, I love you being my yoga teacher because you have a normal body. There are
Mhm.
so many yoga teachers who have like these lithe, skinny bodies, and I just feel so intimidated. But I love you, Leslie, as my teacher. And I remember at that time, like, there was a part of me that was like, oh, that kind of does that there's an edge to that for me to receive, right?
Mhm.
Because it
Mhm.
means they don't see me as skinny, they don't see me
Mhm.
as thin, they see me as, whatever. But it really helped in a way because it was offered as a compliment and offered as like, it helped them to see themselves in a more positive
Mhm.
light. So I held space for it for myself, like, I'm good. Well, in perimenopause, I started putting weight on. And I remember a point where I just decided, like, I am not going to make this mean something bad
Mhm.
about me. I'm not. And I feel like we can do that for
Yeah,
ourselves.
I
We
agree.
can draw a line in the sand and say, I'm not going to take this on as meaning something negative about myself.
Yeah,
That doesn't
exactly.
mean the thought still, even now, doesn't arise sometime like, I should lose 20 pounds. But it doesn't devastate me. And I have
Mhm.
so many clients who those thoughts devastate them over
Mm.
and over and over again. And
Yeah,
they see themselves as lacking because of their weight
yeah.
or because
I
of their health
mm.
or because of their fitness. So many things around our bodies. We have ideas about who we should be. That doesn't mean we can't have, goals and aspirations for the things that we want to do positively for our health.
Mhm.
But if we take any of those one things and make that about our worth,
Mhm. That's
happiness is like out of the question.
but I think it goes for, the thing that you said earlier on. You said being enough. The feeling of I am enough is kind of a foundation to the happiness that we can feel. Um, I believe it goes also with I do enough. So whatever it is,
Mhm.
I do enough in order to be better, whatever I want to be. I do
Yeah.
enough, or in order to make more money, I do enough, and then I have enough.
Yeah.
There's so many of us, and I can recognize myself there, that having more was, or not having more, felt like a failure. And so it
Mhm.
kept me in unhappiness, whether I don't have more money, I don't have, I'm not rich per se, or I'm not making more. And this three places of being enough, doing enough, and having enough, I think are really kind of literally like a tripod of foundational things that we can work on, uh, that regardless of whatever is happening outside of whatever other people's opinions are, that will create, for me at least, that's what it does, when I'm successful at it, and it doesn't work every day, but
Yeah.
it creates a feeling of safety. That
Mhm.
feeling of safety is the foundation for me feeling happy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I love
There is no
with that.
lack, that there is no me missing anything, that I'm okay, I'm safe. And I'm safe because I am enough, because I do enough, and because I have enough. And
Yeah.
sometimes this doing enough can be just me getting out of bed and
Yeah.
sitting in front of a computer and watching some TV. That's it, because
Yeah.
there are days like this or moments like this.
Yeah. Well, I love that you frame it in that sense of safety. Like, what is it for any of us as an individual that helps us to feel like there's some kind of stable foundation that we're standing on? And this is it. This the foundation of the self, and this foundation of feeling
Mm-hmm.
okay, like okay enough just to be.
Yeah,
That that creates that sense of safety, right?
yeah,
Because when I
and I
don't feel
think that
okay, when I
yeah, when
yeah,
when I don't feel okay, I can't feel happy. There's no way.
right, right,
Or it can
right.
just be, some kind of fake glittery thing on top. But, it's like,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and I think sometimes that feeling of not being okay, whether it's, what we do, what we have, who we are at the
mm,
base level, it comes so much out of comparison, right? We're
yeah,
comparing ourselves to other people, and we're comparing ourselves to our old ideas of where we
yeah.
might be now. I
Oh,
can
yeah,
see that, like, I didn't this is not where I thought I was going to be,
yeah. Hmm.
20 years ago or whatever. I didn't envision myself here. And when we're in that place and it's like where I am now falls short in a way of
Hmm.
what I thought might happen. And I'm just going back to that old vision in order to make sense of what is now, rather than really giving myself credit and seeing like all the things happen between then and now that brought me to here. I feel like that process, like to really kind
Yeah.
of look more closely. Well, what has happened in that space, like to bring me to where I
Again,
am?
what did I accomplish instead
Yeah,
of what did I not accomplish?
right, right. Because
But also,
likely, I know for
I think there's a part of this accomplishment thing that we can take a step further, and that is sometimes these goals, these ideas that from the past are not accurate. So I am not where I thought I should be, I would be, but actually I don't want to be there anymore. I want to be somewhere else.
right,
And there's a good
right,
chance that I am where I want to be now,
yeah,
today, instead of, oh, I should have. This year, I was supposed in my plan to release 8 big goddess courses that I've been working on for years. And I finally thought, okay, 2024 is the year. I'm going to release all of them into the world. I'll see if they find their customers, but I need to do this. Now, for those of you who are listening that in the future, I have cancer. And so my year has been completely destroyed into bits and pieces. I released 2 of these courses, and there's not going to be any more this year because I'm focusing on my health, on enjoying life, on doing other things, on getting better, on healing, which means I could say, I failed. And I could be very, or I can completely look at the other bit and say, maybe those were not meant to be for me. And now at this minute, what I want is to be healthy more than I want to release
yeah,
those courses. So,
yeah,
and it makes
yeah.
me
And
happy
so,
that I can devote the time and to my health so I think it's really about also not trying to hold up ourselves to old standards that sometimes
exactly.
are completely outdated.
Yeah, yeah. When we can be more not reactionary, but more in response to
Mm,
life and what is here, there's an element to the happiness that comes with that too.
yeah,
Like when I can be present with what is happening, I just think like I don't think that this is an uncommon story for women either. A few years ago, I would have said I would be in a different place than I am right now financially, and even like where I live. So my plan was to move. And my partner has had some health issues. And I had to kind of let go of some of the big plans, the big ideas I had for what I was going to do, and and cultivate more of my caregiver, which is
Mm.
actually not a skill that I have really had to cultivate as specifically in the past. So I could sit here and say like, oh, poor me, I can't be happy because I'm not living where I really wanted to live, and
Mhm.
things aren't going the way that I want them to. And life has been
Yeah.
hard with him having, he had cancer, and then a couple of surgeries, and then now a knee replacement. And it's like I can't. There's the days where I feel like, okay, I'm just in response to his medical
Mhm.
issues. But then I can pause too and say, like, it's amazing that I am self employed and I have the space and capacity in my business to be able to set things aside and to be in that caregiver role and to like develop a part of myself that, I didn't have children. So it's not exactly the same, but that is true. My
No,
parents
but
both died when I was very young. So I will never have that kind of caregiving sort of
mhm.
responsibility. But here I've been able to like cultivate that. And our
Mhm.
relationship has benefited from, us kind of being in this place where we have to really negotiate and support one another. So yeah, just another example like how we can take what life is and and find the gold in it, which my
Yeah, I was going to go with the flow, and I know that it sounds like a cliche, but it's exactly that. What's happening is happening for me, and that will completely change the way that I feel. And happiness is a feeling, at least a way of feeling.
yeah.
So if I can feel that everything is happening for me, that there is something good in whatever life throws at me, if I can be the river, and allow for the things to, push me, pull me a little bit, without me being rigidly um, obsessed with one particular goal that I want to accomplish. And if I don't, then I
Right.
fail. I mean, Simone Biles, I don't think her goal was either I have gold medals all the way, or I'm a failure. I think it was, I want to go back and I want to go show to the world and to myself that I can do the
Yeah.
Olympics and that I'm not the last gymnast ever. And she did. So, and I think, it's the more rigid our the more we aim for perfection, the less we have a chance to really feel the happiness in the little things, in the little joys, or in the joys that we were not expecting.
Yeah.
It's like,
It
if I'm only happy if you get me for Christmas something that is on my Christmas wish list, then,
Mhm.
if I don't give you the list, or if for some reason you don't want to buy that and you give me something out of your heart that you chose for me because you know me and you think that, with my pink glasses, you'll give me pink earrings and I love them, and I'm not happy about that because it's not on my list, because I didn't want it. Or I can say, hey, these go nicely with my glasses. Thank you, Leslie.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, I really think about like we take away from ourselves so many
Mm.
opportunities to experience our lives.
Yeah.
And we don't like really experience what is happening in our lives when we're caught up in our minds and ideas of how it should be instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I found I was browsing through the internet, looking around for ideas around happiness, and there was this person, I don't remember. Actually, I found it 3 times. So, somebody said that there are 4 keys to happiness. So I suggest we discuss those and see if we agree. So one
Okay.
is purpose. connection, mind, and body. So these are the 4 places or the 4 areas where the writer suggested that we can work on for happiness. So purpose is what am I doing in this world, basically.
Yeah.
So do you think it's important for your happiness, for instance?
Yeah, absolutely. I think having a sense of meaning, and I think sometimes people get kind of caught up in this, like, what am I here for? What's my
The one
purpose? Like,
purpose, the one
you know,
goal.
like it's something big. So for me, I could maybe distill that down more a little bit into meaning, to
Mm-hmm.
find meaning in what I'm doing, and
Yeah.
to ensure that I am doing things that are meaningful to me, because that's
Mm-hmm.
the other thing. I think people get caught up again in those expectations, or in kind of the hamster wheel or the rote, like, well, this has to be done and this has to be done and this has to
Mm-hmm.
be done. But ensuring that I'm spending time, this like amazing tiny little speck of time that I have to be here on the planet, doing things that are meaningful
Yeah, I
to me.
agree.
And then the other thing that I often think of with purpose, and this is actually something that I work with clients on, and that I teach workshops on, are finding meaning and your purpose. But there's 2 pieces of it. So one is a little philosophy from the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says to Arjuna that to do somebody else's, to do your own purpose, I'm going to terribly paraphrase it, but basically to do your own purpose poorly is so much better than to do somebody else's purpose perfectly.
I love that.
So yeah, so it's like
Trying to walk
that's
somebody else's path will never bring you happiness.
right.
You have to walk your own path, however imperfectly or slowly, or going back and forth.
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And then the other thing is that I think people often put what is my purpose as something in the future. And I really want to hold for us that your purpose is in whatever you're doing right
Yeah,
now.
I agree. I love that.
Your
Yeah,
purpose is here. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that's why you can't fail your purpose.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I want to say is, for me, the purpose thing is the pressure of the one purpose. I have to find one purpose, and it's in the future, obviously, but it's also this big thing that, and for me, as a woman, I feel that we have a very definite cyclic nature, which means I feel that for a long time in my life, my purpose was mostly around motherhood. I did a lot of mothering. Now
Mm-hmm.
I'm moving outside of that. My sons have grown, they're mostly left the house. And although I'll still be their mother, I will never again be their mummy. I am not first responder anymore, right? For my kids, which
Yeah.
means, first of all, they're not kids, they're men now. So, and that means that my purpose has changed. So you don't need to limit yourself to one purpose. I had a
Yeah.
purpose in my 20s. I maybe had another one in my 30s. I had, and I think it's okay to change your purpose to be able to do it now, not in some remote future. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I think
again,
it's not only okay, but it is part of our own personal evolution. Like,
mhm,
of course, where we want to put our attention, what it is that we want to accomplish, the skills that we have
mhm,
develop over time. And so that lends itself to new purpose, new meaning that we can make in what we're doing,
yeah,
new, different kinds of contributions that we
of
can
course.
make in the world, right? As I grow, I can contribute in new and different ways all
Yeah,
the time.
absolutely. And so that changes the purpose, and the way I can actually do it. Um, okay, purpose done. Connection is the second one, the second area that was mentioned. And to be honest, I had not thought about it.
Mm.
But when I read the word, it was obvious that yes, I believe that happiness is a lot about connections, about how I feel connected to whatever. And I'm going to be very vast about that. And I would think for me, it starts with how I feel connected with other people, obviously, but also with the planet, with animals, with myself, or disconnected. And
Yeah.
that is a place. So, what do you think about that? Do you think that connection is important? Um,
Yeah, most definitely. Makes complete sense to me that it's on that list of 4 things that would lead
mhm.
to happiness. That connection is that. I mean, we have many, many research studies that show that, like, people are healthier when they're connected with other people or pets. Like,
Mhm.
so people with pets, so some sense of connection to another really does impact our health and well-being. I love that you bring into this kind of connection to something bigger
Yeah.
than the self. And that too has been shown in research. So it's not just a big idea, but it's been shown in research that people who have a sense of kind of like, um, yeah, connection to something bigger than oneself or to a higher power or something like that, even if it's not a traditional God or in a religious
No,
sense. Like,
for me, it starts with the planet, with the connection
yeah,
with with the actual ground that we walk up
yeah,
upon. It's like
earth,
the that
nature.
we are part of the general ecosystem of Earth, that we are not
Mhm.
a separate entity like the humans and then all the rest of the living things on the planet,
Yeah,
whether it's trees or animals. For me, it's really, really, I can feel how when I get disconnected from that, my happiness level starts dropping, really. Like, even I
yeah,
live in the middle of nowhere in the countryside in France, and I obviously sometimes I want to see a little bit more life and people. So I go to, I went to New York earlier on this year. I go to London regularly. My mother lives in Athens, big town, big noise, big cities.
yeah.
After a while, I need to get out. I need to get
Mhm.
out and see a tree and sit my ass on the ground, or my feet on the ground, and just really allow for this connection, almost an electrical connection. Energy is electricity, or
Yeah,
to kind of be remade between me and the planet. And then I can, um, yeah, again, I can feel that, the vastness of my breath is bigger. I feel more
mhm.
safe, more grounded, and that makes me happier.
Yeah,
So yeah, no,
yeah,
it can. I'm not denying any religion or faith or God that you want to put in there, because everybody can have anything, but remembering that we are already part of something. That
yeah,
we are part of the animal world. We are just an evolved animal, right? And
yeah,
this belonging, when we can connect to it, I think is a very high source of happiness.
yeah, yeah. And that word, exactly, it is the sense of belonging. And it doesn't matter what it is ultimately, I think that you feel that you belong to, but something where you feel like an important integral part of
Yeah.
something. For me also, it's the earth and looking at how my actions impact the earth and impact other people. I feel a part of humanity. Like, I want to
Mm-hmm.
be a positive part of humanity, to really like
Agreed.
uphold the elements of humanity that are good and do great
Yeah.
things in the world and all of that. But I think the other thing that I come to with connection, and this is something I talk with people a lot about, is the way that we connect to ourselves
Mm.
too. Like, to
Yeah.
come back to that. So that to me does feel really important, and I just want to bring it up again. I think I've said it, but all of the things that we bring to our connections with other people, if we can turn those back to the self too, um, it helps us to be, better in our relationships with other
Yeah.
people, first of all, but also it will help to ground us in that feeling of okayness
Mhm.
again.
Yeah, it's
So
not
we
an
can't,
either or situation. It's not either
yeah,
I'm connected with others or I'm connected with myself. It's both.
no, no, yeah, yeah. But I think so often that people look at connection again, kind of externally. What am I connected with outside of me? But I just feel like it's so important to connect
Yeah,
with oneself,
I
to
agree
bring
absolutely.
passion to the self, to bring, space and self-care and self-love, all of those things.
Absolutely. And actually, the last two areas that were mentioned were mind and body, which are definitely my mind and my body. So, it's kind of bringing back everything back home. The body thing is, for me, is like, again, let's go scientific. We have endorphins, we have hormones that make us feel happy, literally, pheromones that make us feel love. So it's about remembering that this body is not an enemy, that it is part of our experience on this earth for now, and that if we take care of it, give it some fun and games, let's put it this way, there's a higher chance that we feel happiness. And it's the same with the mind. If I give myself some fun and games in the mind instead of negative thoughts, rubbish TV, and news and all the negativity around me, if I don't allow this in my brain, and if I just focus on the most positive aspects of life in my mind too, then there is a higher chance for me to feel happiness.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. These bodies, I think of it often as it's the only way we get to experience the world,
Yeah,
right? Is because
I
we have a
agree.
body.
I agree.
And yeah, and so really honoring that, and of course taking good care of the body and all of that. And but also just appreciating
Mm,
that, having again that sense of gratitude, like even when the body isn't working exactly the way we might wish that it was, like it's still doing so much for us. It's allowing us to actually be here and have an
yeah.
experience of
For
life.
me, there's a lot about sensorial. Would you say that the sensory experience that we can have that only our body provides? So coming back
Yeah,
to touch, smell, hear, so music, sound, whatever, seeing, looking at beauty, arranging what is in front of my eyes when I work. I don't know what you're
yeah,
looking at, but I'm looking at an amazing altar that I create for myself that nobody ever
yeah,
sees. My backdrop is one thing, but what I look at every day when I work on my computer is something that makes me feel happy.
yeah,
And
beautiful.
then, which is the one that I forgot? Taste, food,
Mhm.
chocolate, or whatever you like,
Yeah,
uh, or
I'm
just
actually.
for me, one of the tastes that I just want to, because it's funny. One of my best tastes is water. I love
Mm,
water. I think it has a beautiful taste.
yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. It's so good. I'm actually teaching a series right now that's called The Journey Through the Senses. And
Ah.
so we're exploring exactly that. In yoga and in meditation and just in what I call sacred self-care, a huge focus is on sensation, or interoception is another thing that we can think about, like what is happening internally in the body
Mhm.
as we do the things that we do. And that's not just like movement or breathing, although those things can help us to tune in there, but it's all of life, as we're walking around, as we're doing the dishes, as we're having an argument, as whatever it is that we're doing, having some kind of connection to what is happening in your body can inform your next step, can give you a cue that you need to keep doing what you're doing or to do something different. It can give you help you to more fully experience what it is.
Or just to
That
adjust. I was this afternoon. I was at just before coming with you. I was at a writing workshop, so it was really fun. And we were given prompts, and we were supposed to be writing. And after, at some point, I love writing, and writing with prompts with somebody else was a lot of fun. So I got really immersed into the thing. And after something like half an hour, I realized I was sitting with my foot crooked, and it was painful. It took me half a freaking hour to realize, and I just arranged my foot. So, and then the relief sensation of not feeling the pain anymore, which I've just created for myself, was like,
right.
hey, that's happiness,
Right.
So
Yeah, I love
staying on in connection with my body and with my thoughts, because the mind thing, I think, they go together for me. That,
yeah,
if I'm connected with my mind and my body at most of the time, I wouldn't say at all times, because again, perfection, no.
sure.
But if I'm connected, then I can course correct, and I can feel the amazing stuff. I was
Yeah,
swimming last week in the sea, and it was so freaking hot outside. And when you get in, at first it's like, "Ugh, it's freaking cold." But this sensation of cold is also a relief from the incredible heat. So it's
right.
like, how can I be there and experience both the, oh my god, I'm going to die because I'm freezing, oh, and then immediately or at the same time, oh no, this is actually nice.
Yeah, yeah. Excellent. Well, let's talk a little bit more about mind, because I also feel like our minds our minds are a really important part of being able to experience happiness, to feel happiness. They also really get in the way
Yeah.
of us feeling happy. And I think that partly or largely that's because we don't understand what the mind is supposed to be doing for us. So we act as if the mind is supposed to kind of lead us through. We can problem solve our way out of, think our way out of everything. And if we can't think of the answer, then we don't feel happy, right? But the mind really is, I think of it more like a servant to the soul. And the body is a little closer in my kind of construct of our internal universe. The mind is a little, or the body's a little closer in. So it's like if we can go to the body first and feel sensation and be present in the body and kind of know where we are in space and get grounded, whatever it is that take there, and then turn the attention of the mind into the direction that is going to support us best, we work more in concert that
Yeah.
way. It's not
I
like
love
the
that.
mind,
I love that.
it's not like we have to figure it all out in our minds. You really can kind of feel your way through.
Yeah, I
And then
agree absolutely.
your smartness, your intelligence, all the things you know, your ability to go and research and all of that, like help to augment what it is that
Yeah,
you're doing, rather than
absolutely.
that being the guide.
Yeah, because when we allow the mind to take over, um, one of the things that the mind does very, very well is fear, which
Yeah,
is the opposite of feeling safety, like we discussed
right.
previously. So again, I think that coming back to the body and going into this feeling of safety in my body, on the earth, breathing the air, feeling the air on my skin and everywhere. That is, yeah, closer to the soul, and an easier way to happiness than trying to make myself happy with my mind.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm.
Well, I think we have talked about happiness a lot. Not that we have finished, because you can never finish. Um, but I would, do you have a final thingy? I have a final thing, so you can think about yours. But mine is basically that I believe happiness is mostly experiential. It's not a theory. It's for me to experience and for you to experience. And every day we can walk towards more of it, but it doesn't mean that today is not good because there isn't any. It just means that, you know, I can develop, and it's walking in it, so that means body walking in it, like not mind walking.
Not mind walking. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think the only thing I might add to it is happiness is here.
Yeah.
It is here, just sometimes we're disconnected from it. And that is part of the human experience
Yeah.
too. But if I can remember that, and during the times when I really am feeling it, and like not just to blow by that, like to really appreciate that too, and feel, where is it in my body? When I'm happy, where is it in my body?
Mm.
Because that creates an anchor that we can come back
Yeah.
to, so that when we're in our minds and we're like unhappy and things are terrible, it's like you can come back. Well, like, where is that happiness? Where is it?
Agreed. I love that. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
we're working with it. So, you know, if we can store it somewhere in our body and just remember for next time that we have a doubt about being happy. Awesome. Well, thank you very, very much, Leslie. That has
It was
been an amazing
awesome,
series.
Saya.
I'm really happy to talk about happiness. We can do that more. If you guys who are listening to this podcast, you want to know more about Leslie, you want to find Leslie and work with her, by the way, please send me the link for this sensory thing. If there is a possibility for the listeners to subscribe, I will add this link. So all the links for Leslie stuff will be above or below the video or the audio, whatever you're listening to or watching. And yeah, I'll be here next week with another guest. I don't know yet who it is. And again, Leslie, thanks so much for this series. I do
Yeah.
hope that we get to talk again, but actually, I do know that we are going to talk again, because if you're listening to this episode around its time of releasing date, which should be in August, that means that there is something good coming. We have a Rest Revolution Summit coming, where both Leslie and myself will be well, I'm a participant and Leslie's the freaking organizer. So, but it's going to be amazing. If you want in for that, you can either reach out to me or reach out to Leslie, or we will have the link for you around this video or this audio again. This is another amazing conversation around the importance of rest in, I was going to say, in our lives, but I think I'm going to finish by for our happiness.
Very good. Very good. I love that.
Thank you so much again to all of you for listening, and to Leslie for being my guest. I'll talk to you soon.